everyone. See you next Tuesday. This podcast is going to be an interview with our Wendie. So let's kick it off.
I'm nervous.
Have you ever felt... Here we will go that. Have you ever felt like you lost yourself?
Yeah. Yep. This week being one of them. Definitely. Several times in life I felt I've lost myself and had to re-find her, and I've also been in situations where I've re-found her and she's changed, and I've needed to look for the old version of her, thinking that was what would get me through the new version of events that I was dealing with, if that makes any sense to you at all.
So when you felt lost, what do you think? What is an example of what's brought you back?
So when I have felt lost, deep work, deep inner child work, going back to stripping it all back, exploring like a series of questions that have challenged the beliefs I hold and why, look and question why I have the emotions and that opinion of what that situation.
Yeah, no.
Why going all the way down to stripping it back to being like, challenging the belief in the first place of being lost, what it is that makes me feel lost, and then looking at it from another angle to see how much of it is really true.
Yeah.
And how much of it is actually true and how much of it is what either other people have told me, or conditioning, or belief, a pattern of beliefs I've got around it, which is all fundamental to stopping me from feeling the absolute truth, because it hurts like a motherfucker. So, but I have to admit there's been times where I've found myself again and I've not wanted to be that new version of her, because the old version of her had done such a good job of really powering through. And I miss, I always this weird thing of thinking, I really miss that version of me. Why? Let it go, it's gone. Do you know what I mean? But I do have a moment where I think, oh my God, I need her, because she's been the one that's done it.
Do you think though that it's the version of you that you've lost? Because I think becoming self-aware is probably one of the hardest things. And what's annoying is when I first started becoming self-aware and doing my counselling, I thought there was an end game. But it doesn't fucking stop.
No, it never stops. In fact, that is one of the biggest illusions about both do life coaching, obviously, very different dynamics, but both do life coaching. I think that's one of the biggest myths about working on yourself, that there's an end point.
Yeah.
Please show me.
Where are we getting there?
I'm like a damn onion. Layers. Reminds me of Shrek. Like an onion, baby. There's layers.
And the layers never, it's like a never ending onion though, because I even think like you get to the centre of an onion, don't you? That ain't happening. No. So, leading on from that.
Christ, that was a big one.
What would you say to people who think they know you?
What would I say to people who know you? I am very good at people in general. Humans are my favourite thing, because I can tell within seconds who somebody is, see through everything. Not with my eyes, with my gut, and I trust my gut, and my gut's never proved me wrong. I can get a feel of somebody in a nanosecond, and that will determine what version of you receive from me.
Yeah, Because I would say, just given from what you just said, that I'll stiff up a lip, like I can get through that, I can do this. That would, I wonder if people actually see that in you. That, yeah, I think they see your strength and your power, but I don't know if they see that emotion that you've just shown that underlines who you are.
Yeah. People won't know me as an emotional being, but in actual fact, my capacity to love is my superpower, but it's also my kryptonite. It works in both ways. My power to love is phenomenal, and how I love is so vast, so strong, so powerful, and so pure that, and I genuinely, like, I'm like that with everybody that I hold dear, but also it blinds me to an awful lot, and it also is, it blinds me to the needs of myself. I've come to learn to, I don't, you know, it's it's the thing that makes me neglect me. And if I had an ounce of what I give to others put on myself, spent on myself, I think I would be, I think that's what needs to happen more. That's my thing that I work on at the moment.
Working on at the moment. Okay, what is something that you've never said out loud but feel deeply?
Something I've never said out loud but feel deeply. Is there anything?
I did wonder.
Is there anything I've ever said out loud? No, I don't think there is, because that's also probably a big myth about me, is the fact that I am open. I'm really open, and I'm honest, and if somebody has something, or no topics off limits
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, and I think that's right, and I think actually from my perspective of what I see and how people react around you, is instead of asking the question, they either make up their version or there's a fear to ask. Because I think that, just go and ask her.
Yeah.
If you don't have anyone, just go and ask. I mean, you're going to get the honest answer, but that's all it is.
That is honesty, yeah. My honesty is, it is a fun hoover for a lot of people.
Oh dear. What is a decision you've made that scared you but you're really proud of?
A decision I've made that has scared the life out of me, that has challenged me to the max, is with Harper. I have decided to take Harper out of the school system. The school system doesn't fit for Harper. I've decided to show up in a way that's not my normal repertoire for parenting at all. I've had to challenge myself. I've had to have a real good look at myself as a mum, and as a mum. What's the word I'm looking for? As a mum and my parenting.
Yeah.
Right, and my role within parenting, because the situation regarding her is I'm not a teacher, but I've had to learn plenty of things. And I didn't think I would enjoy it, but it is moving in that direction. but I've had to really divide myself between what is parenting, how I parent, how I react, because I also have to be her mum, which is something totally different. And I didn't think there'd be a difference, but I'm learning very quickly in sometimes some really harsh ways on myself, real emotional, taxing ways on myself, that parenting is totally different to being a mum. There's a different there's a different forum for both. And I'm being lucky to have reached out to a few people and actually have helped me navigate that, because they're 10 steps ahead of me, obviously, with the homeschooling. That has been, for me, in a lot of areas, but one that matters to me the most, which is being a mum, has been really challenging. Really profoundly challenging, you know.
I mean, that is a pretty big step, isn't it?
Huge.
And also it's full-time responsibility as well, because as much as I like to say school is the educational system, but actually sometimes it's a source of, you know, I can work, or I can, you know, enabling you to do other things other than be a parent, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly thought, I knew I would have to be selfless, which is not a problem. We all know I give myself away in a snapshot for my children, not a problem. But then it also taught me that you're not selfless. There's a reason that you need them to be, you know, at certain places at certain times. But also it's, when I tell you, you have to get out your own way, like to be able to parent, it's different. Homeschooling is different. It requires a totally different set of skills to what, because I've got a child in school as well who's doing really well in school, and I've got nothing against the school system. I just weren't willing to. It would have been the death of Harper, and that sounds dramatic, but that's exactly what it would have been. It wasn't for her, and I think you as a mum get to decide that. And I've had 5 children. This isn't my first rodeo. It wasn't fit for Harper. It will never be a fit for Harper. Harper's just not, and there's nothing wrong with Harper. It just doesn't work for her. So, but it's it's next level, I've got to say, and I definitely wasn't prepared for it.
No, I can't imagine you were.
Definitely wasn't prepared.
I thought that joy to come, I think. When do you feel most at peace?
So I feel most at peace in the forest. So I'm a real tree hugger. I'm somebody that walks barefoot through the forest, gets all the funny looks. I love grounding. The minute I'm even in the company of trees, as weird as I'm going to sound, every cell in my body fizzes. It's like I have some sort of symphony going on inside of me, where everything changes.
Well, amazing description. I love that. I'm with you. Mine's water, but there's not a lot of water around here, so I do to the tree. I've even done the energy thing where you hold your hand out and ask the tree to touch your hand, because I was like, I've seen that on TikTok, I'm going to give that a little shout, and it works. You know, there's a lot of energy. Oh, do you not? So basically, you stand with your hand quite far away from a branch and the leaves, and ask them to touch your hand. And little by little, you'll notice the leaf come and then touch your hand.
No way.
Yes. So I've really started embracing it in my life. I talk to all my plants now, because almost like seeing was believing. I know that everything's energy. I'm very aware of energies and stuff, but that blew my mind.
See me, I get like a vibration.
Yeah.
We live at the back of Kitts County, obviously, and I get when I tell you I get a pull, I can't explain it to you, like an energetic pull in. But for me, I've always spoke to my plants, but then that comes from generations. My granddad was one of the first biohackers, I'm telling you. Everyone talks about biohacking. You ain't met a biohacker till you met my granddad. Obviously he's no longer with us, but he was a tree person and
Yeah.
a plant person, and he was totally immersed in everything nature. He taught me so much as a kid about nature. It was unbelievable, and obviously he had that connection,
Yeah.
and I understood what he spoke about in a lot of ways that most people didn't. I think, but my grandson's the same. My grandson Henry, he's one with the earth, that boy.
Yeah.
So he's the same, you know, and he gets that. He likes the forest, he likes the nature, he likes the tree, he notices things that you just wouldn't. Yeah, he's the same.
Wow. Crazy, isn't it? How it all comes down. Right. What's one of the hardest truths you've had to accept?
I'm a shit mum. That was the best one. That I wasn't going to die from being a shit parent. My worst fear in life was that I was not a good mum. I wouldn't be a good mum. That I wouldn't be the right kind of mum for my children. That if I didn't get everything right, or if I wasn't completely and utterly there for them all the time, that something bad was going to happen, and the reaction internally in my body was that I was going to die.
Wow.
That it would kill me. Extreme. And I've had to do a lot of work on that, let me tell you. That's an encyclopedia's worth of work just on that one subject.
But what so I know a bit of this story, but what would you say the thing that shifted?
Yeah. Sorry. What was the one thing?
What do you think now is your attitude towards being a parent? What stops you thinking with that fear? Because
the worst thing that could possibly happen happened.
Okay.
So we've had a situation recently that's gone on where one of mine has been removed from the family hub, as it were, in circumstances that are beyond my control.
Yeah.
And left behind two little people that also needed support in their lives, and no matter what had happened, I can't fix it, I can't make it go away, I can't heal it, and I'm having to help navigate situations that would ordinarily not be any of my business. And for that you have to have truthful conversations, and truthful conversations make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
uncomfortability gets to the core of the issue, and you can't be perfect as a parent, and you can't be anything other than who you should be, because it's not real. And I realised very quickly that everything that I based myself on, my children didn't know the real me. Everything was done at pleasing them. It wasn't really how I was, how I felt, what I could do. I'd pushed myself beyond limits and boundaries that were superhuman because I didn't want to let them down, or I didn't want to say no, or I didn't want them to see that I wasn't capable, because I felt that that would mean they wouldn't like me, or they wouldn't love me, or they'd see me as less than, or no good, or worthless. And I had so much of myself wrapped up and invested in that now that I can't, and I was stripped of it, and I realised that I'm not going to die, and that there are areas that none of it was real. None of it's real.
I was going to say to you, someone asked you a question about the love. I can't remember exactly what it was, and they were like, but they don't really love you.
They don't, yeah, that's what they said to me. How can they really love you when they don't even know you?
That's powerful.
And I just thought, I told you, I thought I was going to be sick. I thought I was going to be actually sick, because it took me to my knees. Because the thought of them not loving me was enough to make me feel like I would die. The thought of them not liking me was enough to make me feel like I couldn't fucking breathe.
Yeah.
And the thought of, how would they not know me? But they didn't know me. And that's a wicked truth. What a wicked truth to die with. And then I thought, what happens if you do die? They don't actually know you. They only know that version of you that you have allowed them to have, and that means that you don't trust them. Why don't you trust them?
Yeah.
Why don't you trust your children? How can you not trust your children?
And there's a lot about authenticity, isn't there, and how actually in your cells, in your body, like it's just not.
And how did I think I wasn't? Where the hell did I think I wasn't good enough to be their mum come from? Who the hell said that? I'd love to know where that come from, because I'm still on the search for that one.
Well, there's a couple of theories. I can't remember whose theory this was. It potentially might be Alan, but I'll stand corrected. But they write a piece about being a parent, and it's that like looking for the expectation of perfection. And the reality is, you can only be a good enough parent. And a lot of times in our sessions, I'll say, but did you try your best? Was it good enough? You can't. There's nothing beyond that. Good enough.
I've realised that it's not about being good enough. What does it matter if you're not good enough? Maybe you're not meant to be good enough. What about if you're just meant to be you? Like, wouldn't you rather die knowing that they knew the real you and they loved the real you? And if they don't love the real you and they don't understand the real you, at least you know that it's real.
Yeah.
And whatever that's meant to make you feel is real. Whatever you're meant to learn from that, you'll learn. And maybe that's what that's really about and why they're really in your life. See, I've gone even further than that.
See, I quite like the good enough, because I think when I beat myself up about, I should have done this and I haven't done that and I can't afford this, or they need that, and I think, Luce, you just, you can be good enough. Like, why are you striving for perfection? So I use it not maybe in such an emotional way, but just in a practical right now. I'm doing a good enough job. And when I look at my lovely 25-year-old, I think, shit, I am bloody good at what I do.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and that's the way I take it. I look and I think, yeah, I'm doing all right here.
Yeah. Yeah, got it.
Which leads me on to that, but as you talked about death, I'd like to ask this one. What do you hope people would remember you for?
I've been just weird. I've been thinking on this a lot lately.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've been thinking of this a lot. And if I'm honest, the only people that I worry about, like long after I'm gone, is that I was thinking about, like, what have you done in your life with them that would make them remember you by, like, what would they be talking about? And for me, I want them to know they were loved. They were loved in their entirety. Like, that matters to me.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how much until I started pondering on this question recently. This was one of my lay on the floor, thinking about everything in the grass kind of moments.
Thinking about thinking.
Yeah. And I just thought, if nothing more, if they remember me for nothing more, I want them to remember that they were loved. They were loved so much, but they were loved for their entirety. Who they were, whatever that looked like, whatever that played out like, it didn't matter. They never doubted, ever, for 1 minute, that I loved them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect thing to leave someone with, isn't it? Okay, so what does healing mean to you? Just to tie us off nicely.
Christ. What does healing
mean to you?
Healing means to me is self-compassion. Healing to me is self-compassion. It's having the bollocks to look at whatever it is you're judging yourself for and seeing where you can be compassionate about it, because the minute you can bring compassion to that situation, that's when you can crack it open and start exploring. And until you can look at it through compassionate eyes, from a compassionate viewpoint, from a compassionate mindset, you don't have anything to work with.
Definitely. I think learn to love yourself And I find that really hard to, well, I don't advise clients on that because I don't believe in it. Because I do, but self-compassion, yes. What does loving yourself look like? Because I only really compare my love to others, how I love other people, but I wouldn't love myself like I love my daughter. I wouldn't love myself like I love my son. So how do you know what that looks like? So I think when you put that you've got to learn to love yourself, that's a lot of pressure, because how do you even imagine, when was the last time someone loved themselves? Do you love yourself as a kid? I didn't. So there's no comparison, and I think that's a very big statement that people are working towards, that we don't even know what that is. So I think that's a really nice way of putting it. It's that self-compassion.
Yeah, so I use learn to love yourself as an insult.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't use it ever.
No, what I'm saying to you is, you know you've pissed me off. If I go learn to love yourself, you know you've pissed me off. Let me tell you. Because you, like you said, you will drive yourself mad.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah.
So you understand why that is such an insult to me.
Yeah, self-compassion and understanding of yourself, isn't it,
I think,
you know?
Yeah. And
what
obviously,
makes you tick.
yeah, and because compassion is that, you know, compassion comes from a place of understanding. And understanding doesn't mean there's a right or wrong. You can understand why you dislike the way you look. Can you bring compassion on that?
Yeah.
What is that compassionate?
Yeah.
And would you say that to that younger version? I think the younger version of yourself. You know, I always say to mine, like, would you ever stand there and say to me, my God, you're ugly? But your self-talk's that way.
Yeah.
You know, I hear my children say stuff like that, and I always say to them, like, why are you saying that to my daughter? That's my kid you're talking about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't talk to her like that. Please tell me why you are.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of compassion.
Yeah. 100%.
You know? Because compassion's an almost moment-to-moment thing.
Yeah.
Too. It's a presence. So it stops you from over spewing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Overthinking, overacting. Compassion's quite a present moment thing in it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Definitely. Well, was that painful?
No.
No?
No, not that painful. I just...
Shit, I don't know what to do, but
yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next
See you next
Tuesday.